What's up guys, welcome back to the cave today. It's so good you're here because today I've got a dog bone, but I don't have any dogs. So what do you do when you have a dog bone and you don't have any dogs? Well, you make a bow, of course. On today's episode of Will It Bow, we're gonna see if we can make a bow with a dog bone and a piece of wood. And so the first thing we really need to do with this dog bone is go ahead and soak it in some water so that we can see if this dog bone will bow. Let's go! Okay, so here's the idea. This dog bone right here that's soaking, we're trying to soften up that raw hide. See, dog bones are made from beef raw hide, but they're extremely cheap. If you buy raw hide to back a bow, it costs you maybe 20 bucks, maybe even more. And it's just 2 little strips. But this, I'm hoping if we unravel this dog bone, what if we have enough raw hide to actually back a bow? That could save a bunch of money and it could be a great bow backing, but I don't know if this sort of rawhide is actually different from the rawhide that you can buy online for bow making. So we're gonna find that out today. While this soaks, let's go ahead and glue a couple pieces of wood together to start working on our bow. I've got a really thick... The bucket's leaking. I've got a really thick chunk of wood here, so I'm gonna go ahead and prepare the back of it, round it a little bit more with the grain, and then take off some wood off the belly so that once we put the raw hide on, we'll be much closer to the bow's finished dimension. Now this Will It Bow is an experiment for sure, and I'm very curious about this one because a lot of the other Will It Bow videos we've made, it's like, will this make a bow? This one's like, will this make a really, really good bow? Because I think this one has the possibility to do so. Now here are the factors I don't know about. The first thing is epay. I don't know how epay works as the majority of the bow wood. I've only used it for about half of the bow wood and used bamboo on the other half. But bringing that epay as the entire bow wood with just a backing, I don't know how that's gonna work. Also, the rawhide dog bone, I'm not sure once it finishes soaking and loosens up if it's gonna even be long enough for the bow. And then on top of that, is it gonna hold on the bow? Is it gonna work as good as rawhide strips, or is it gonna work worse? Or is it gonna be better? And is it 4 times cheaper and gonna work just as good? And if it works just as good, this could be a complete alternative to the fiberglass tape strips that I've taught in the past. We have to slap 6 of those fiberglass strips together to get it thick enough so that you have a sufficient bow backing. But if this works, it's the same price, and it's only 1 strip you have to lay out, this could be a great alternative for new people making bows. With all of these unknown factors, this is why I love making the Will It Bow series. So if you have any more ideas of what you would like to see if it'll bow, leave it in the comments below. I run through those comments and I'll make those things in future videos. And the last thing that's completely unknown with this is I'm gonna use Ep.4 epoxy to try to bind the hide to the wood instead of using just a normal wood glue. I've never seen anybody use epoxy to bind the hide. I think it should work, but sometimes when you think things work, you never really know unless you try it. So there's a lot of unknowns, but I'm excited to finish this build. went ahead and threw some tip overlays on the tips of these before I put the backing on, but now it's time for the backing. This dog bone has been soaking all day. Oh man, so it's full water. Let's take this over to the workbench. All right, here it is. It is all soft. I think we can start unraveling. Oh, sweet, it might be one piece. All right, so let's unravel this. So it looks like one big roll. Oh yeah, this is good. Oh, I'm getting it all dirty here. I need to interrupt real quick because I need to let you guys know that these tabs right here are back in stock. Last time we put them in stock, we sold out in 12 hours. Thank you so much. I've heard really good feedback about the tabs. Yes, we do now sell 300 tabs. Split finger is coming soon, but right now we currently carry 300 tabs that are handmade. As I'm editing this, I realized I said split finger aren't in stock. But they are in stock. It's taken a little more time to get the video out than I wished, but the good news for that is split fingers there for you guys. Left hand or right hand, we've got them both in stock. It'll protect your fingers when you shoot a bow. So if you need an archery tab, head over to shatterproofarchery.com or KramerAmmons.com. It'll take you to the same place and you can pick up your archery tabs there. Oh yeah, and one last quick thing. Here's a little clip of how these tabs are made. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and my small business. Be shatterproof. Back to the video. Okay, so what we need to see is we need to see how long it is. And it doesn't need to be the length of the bow. It just needs to be the length of half the bow. And we can meet 2 sections in the handle and that'll work completely fine. So it's 32 inches. So if you were to get this, it's gonna work for any bow that's 64 inches or shorter. Let's go. Now that is pretty exciting for how long this is. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this into 2 strips. We've got the bow in the heat box. It's got to sit in there a little bit for that epoxy to cure correctly. It was kind of hard to put that on. Hopefully it went on well, but that's going to be it for tonight. I'll see you guys in the morning. We are back this morning and it's time to pull the bow out of the heat box. And once we unravel this, we'll see if this backing is firmly on there. If it is, then we get to start tillering. Check it. So here the bow is. We've got the rawhide on the back here, the dog bone rawhide. You can see how it overlaps in some spots and then isn't in other spots. That's because when I cut down the rawhide, I didn't cut it to the width of the actual bow. I just cut it 2 inches wide and let the sides hang down. Now I'm gonna go sand all of this off or scrape it all off and get this cleaned up. But it looks like this may work. In the middle, I just butted together the 2 pieces of rawhide. And right here, you could put like a leather grip or something on it to cover up that and make it look much better. But overall, this looks like it will work. Won't know for sure until we sand it. Well, until we try the whole thing. So let's get right to it. here we are with the bow build. I went ahead and wrapped right where the rawhide and the nocks come together. Some people like to do this, some people don't. I haven't made many bows with rawhide and it looked like it could come loose there, so I went ahead and wrapped it, and it's just to hold the edge of that rawhide down. This bow is definitely looking primitive, which I kind of like. It's time to start tillering it, so that's extremely exciting. It is a shorter bow with a pretty big handle section, so I may not make this bow to be able to draw back all the way to my draw length, because that could be pushing it. So I might stop at like 27, 28 inch draw length. But with that said, here soon, we may actually have a working bow. So let's get right to tillering. It's so frustrating. I hate it when it breaks. Okay, so let's have a little talk here. I've got a really good, cool way to source some wood, and most people don't know about this, so I'm gonna show you that real quick. It works best with oak. But first, before I show you that, we need to have a little bit of a talk about what happened to this bow. I let some time pass about breaking this bow, and I wasn't too happy about it, because it's never fun to break a bow, especially if you've been working on it for a long time and videoing it, trying to show people how you can make bows, and then it breaks. And on top of that, when you talk it up to be a bow that could be really good, will this make a really, really good bow? Because I think this one has the possibility to do so. I think there's a few reasons this broke. I think it's mainly the epee. In the video, I had the bow strung up. I actually even had it strung up, and then I unstrung it so I could string it up to show you guys. I was like, oh, I strung this up before I videoed it. I do a lot off camera, and then I might reenact it for you guys so that I can actually focus on the project and not break it. I've broken bows in the past because I'm focusing on the video too much. So, I went to string it up a second time. I know I used my leg. Some people will say that's why it broke. I don't think that's why it broke, because I never even drew the bow beyond 30 pounds. And with my lines on the tillering wall, I can see how much the limb is bending at what poundage. And so I know brace height would be less than 30 pounds of stress, which a bow like this should be able to hold much more than 30 pounds of stress. On top of that, it's a very, very clean break. Most bows that I've broken, at least in the past, are real stringy. The grain doesn't just snap like a sharp piece of metal or a brittle piece of metal. It breaks and it split and lifts up apart from each other. This would, no, it's just a clean break. So I think the problem's the epee. In saying all of that, I'm gonna grab a piece of oak and we're gonna try to build the same bow with a piece of oak and see if we get different results. I still have some leftover pieces of hide that I can put on that bow, so this one dog bone should make 2 bows. We'll go through this next bow pretty quickly. We're not losing hope, we never do. Let's go out to the woods and get a piece of wood. Okay, I'll make this quick, but just go out to the woods or go to a local park, and if you find like a big ridge where there's a big piece of bark, just grab it and pull it like this. And normally, you end up with a nice good piece of oak wood. Now, one thing you might want to do is just ask the tree to give you a good straight grain piece of wood first, so that you don't end up with a bad piece. But let's go ahead and go make a bow. We are back in action here with this bow. Another day has passed. The glue is dry. I have today to finish this bow and that's it. So I gotta get to work on this bow. Let's make this quick. Almost made a big mistake. Come on. Okay, so I ripped it down on the bandsaw, to save a little bit of time, and I ripped it down almost too far. I almost made a massive mistake and ruined this bow already. It's already like floor tillered, so we're gonna go ahead and sand this, throw some knot grooves in it, throw it on the tillering tree and get to tillering. When I said fast, I meant like today, because we're leaving town tomorrow. I didn't mean like 7 minutes. Goodness gracious. I need to slow down on this so that we don't end with another pile of firewood. I haven't done this yet. It's real time this time. I put my leg right on the handle, so it's just like I'm drawing the bow back normally. How nerve-wracking is this? Holy moly. There we go. When you have a bow strung up, it's a bow. Will it bow? It will bow. If it has a string on it, then it's not a piece of wood anymore, it's a bow. So come on. Hey, that doesn't look bad. Let's go, baby. This is good. This is really good. Here the bow is, it's crude, it's just roughed out in the handle, it's not finished clearly. I don't have time to finish it today, but we get to see if this will bow. So this is shot number 1. Let's go! You know, people don't realize it's okay not to make the most pretty bow, and this is a not pretty bow whatsoever I made, mainly due to time, and I could finish it up with wrapping the handle, sanding it smooth, making it look much better, but it's not a bad thing. I broke my first 3 bows I ever made, and I'm gonna show you some footage of the bow that was the first one I ever actually completed that shot. So, humble beginnings are not bad. Everybody seems to expect to make a great bow on their first one they're starting to make. That's not very realistic, or at least in my experience. So if you're making a bow, give yourself grace. It takes a little bit of time. You can't be an expert the very first time you build something. There are people, 10% of people maybe, who actually make a working bow on their first bow, and that's impressive. I applaud you for that. But guess what? We made a bow using a dog bone. Yeah, baby. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. Be positive, stay shatterproof. Remember, I'm for you, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.